It's not about me, it's about the subject that I photographed. And fortunately, being born on the banks of the Mississippi gave me the right resume to go out and photograph the common man. So I believe that's what people want to see, and I don't photograph what I think people want to see as much as the America that I find on an ordinary day. And it may be a guy in Maine that's just putting the flag out on his porch. But it's what I call accidental portraits. The genre might be called by some in the 50s and 60s called street photography, because I'm just looking for things that happen now. It might be somebody petting his dog. It might be somebody holding a cup of coffee in his mouth while he's driving on a cell phone. But things that I find of interest, that when you put all the pictures together, they comprise a mosaical portrait of America.
Joe is the most accomplished photographer of American iconography in the history of photography in America. And his catalog is distributed worldwide. His images show up everywhere. You know, Joe will be on an airplane and open a magazine and see one of his shots, didn't even know it was going to appear there. But his images are published over 10,000 times a year. Websites, newspapers, periodicals, TV and film, you name it. Some of the places more high profile, you may have seen some of his images in Al Gore's film An Inconvenient Truth, on the official credit card of the U.S. Olympic team. When I interviewed Joe at the museum about a year ago, and I asked him how he describes himself, playing off this notion of, you know, what do you call him? He used the term photo historian. And I finally had a term after all these years of knowing Joe that made sense. When he never really left the classroom, as is suggested, he just changed to his students, or I'm going to hold this book up, and it takes 2 arms because it's a weighty tome. Here it is, Visions of America, Photographing Democracy. Essentially, Joe's mission has continued to evolve, and it went from sort of photographing the veneer, the iconic superficial images of America, to thinking about the idea, photographing democracy. And that's what he's attempted to do in this significant project. The book is just part of it. His new format includes a symphony. The prototype premiered in Philadelphia a couple months ago. And it's an all-star cast of contributors. The book has 21 essays, was brought to life in this symphony. Peter Nero and the Philadelphia Pops played the music. The original music score was written by Roger Kellaway, and Roger composed the original score and performed live. The Academy Award-winning musical team of Alan and Marilyn Bergman wrote original songs that were performed by Grammy winner Patti Austin. Along with the book, it's the latest iteration of Joe's classroom work, his telling of the story of America. And so in addition to those projects, he's going to begin a national speaking tour and kicks that off today with you. So without further ado, allow me to introduce writer, producer, storyteller, photographer, jack of all trades, Joe Sohm. Joseph?
The book begins in chapter 1. Again, the 13 chapters are the organizing principle for the entire book. The first chapter is really about the icons and the symbols of freedom and democracy. And to do that, I basically photographed everything that I believe to be iconic America, or what I call Amer-icons. I also wanted to cover aspects of the American military and all the major branches, including even West Point and Annapolis, which you will see throughout the book. This is a favorite quote of mine from John F. Kennedy. It seems a basic requirement to study the history of our Indian people. America has much to learn about the heritage of our American Indians. And it was just really quite a journey to photograph this chapter on African Americans and begin with a queen and integrate it with Native Americans, and then ultimately travel to Africa. So in many ways, this chapter is one of the more special ones in the book from my point of view. From the American Revolution, to the Civil War, to the Depression, to World War II, and believe me, there are reenactors for every era of America's past. And my favorite reenactments were World War II, which I only shot. People see this and they go, "Oh my God, Joe," I said, "where did you get these historical pictures?" And I go, well, the interesting thing is they're not historical. They were taken only 1 year before the book went to press. You can't photograph America without going to all 50 states. So I wanted to capture all 50 of those states in sequence in the book as they came into the Union. 10% of the times that I've gone to photograph a remote state, it was completely surrounded in scaffolding, and it was being restored, and I would then have to wait 2 years. One of my favorite facts of when America was born, we were 98% farmers and 2% living in cities. Now, today, in the 21st century, those statistics are precisely reversed. And I thought, how could you shoot America without going to Mayberry, North Carolina? So I went there, and this is the guy that technically it would be Floyd in the barbershop. And so I went in there, and in the background are thousands of postcards from all over the world. And then systematically, I moved my camera across the country to try to shoot each city with its unique footprint that it leaves on the sky. As Thomas Jefferson said, America must build so much and so often. And in our skylines, you can see the future manifest. Why a chapter on global warming is relevant to a book on photographing democracy is because global warming affects all of us, it's caused by all of us, and it requires all of us to address it. Thomas Jefferson said that may be one of the greatest legacies that we leave behind, that we can, without violence, shift from one viewpoint of the world to another viewpoint of the world. That could be the brilliance of the American political system. If I really wanted to have a portrait of democracy, it could not be told in a single picture. That if each individual picture was considered a dot within this George Seurat painting, a pointillist portrait of democracy would emerge. And that's when I realized my vision of America could never be said in a singular image. It's really plural. It's visions of America. And it can only be shown as a mosaic portrait. It was never my intention that it be about myself, because I have always felt it's really about we the people, and it's about the subject of the lens. For 30 years, the camera has been my friend, and I've spent most of my time standing behind it in search of the images that comprise my portrait of democracy. But I've looked across our land for images in the big cities, the small towns, the games we play, the farms. But when I really want to find a specific picture that depicts a portrait of democracy, it's then I realize that democracy resides deep within the hearts of we the people. And as such, it is necessary for me to photograph you, we the people, because it's you that this is all about. This is why I did this. And now, if you all smile, I'll take your picture.
We choose to be free in America. We choose to work hard for what we believe. This is our time. It's in our design to succeed.
We have our dreams in America, a courage to try something new. Whatever it takes, we know we can make them come true.